What if the most powerful medicine you'll ever take isn't a pill, isn't a prescription, and wasn't invented last year, but has been sitting in the pages of the Bible for over 3,000 years? Most people don't know this. While we're running to the pharmacy for every headache, every infection, every blood sugar spike, the ancient world had already solved these problems with food, with plants, with things that grew in the ground and were eaten every single day by people who lived hard lives and somehow still thrived. And today, I'm going to show you 5 of them. 5 foods specifically mentioned in Scripture that modern clinical science is now proving can fight disease, reduce inflammation, and heal your body at the cellular level. Stick around because number 3 on this list was prescribed by a prophet to heal a dying king, and researchers have only just figured out why it worked. And number 5 appears more than 140 times in Scripture, and a single compound inside it works almost identically to ibuprofen, without the side effects. If you want ancient wisdom backed by modern science delivered straight to you every week, hit that subscribe button right now. Let's get into it. Number 1. Raw honey. Eat honey, for it is good. That's Proverbs. Jonathan dips his rod in honey, and his eyes brightened. That's 1 Samuel. The promised land flows with milk and honey. That's not just poetic language, that's a nutritional prescription. Raw honey is one of the most comprehensively studied natural antimicrobials on the planet. Clinical trials have confirmed it can kill antibiotic-resistant bacteria, including MRSA. Here's why. It generates hydrogen peroxide on contact with tissue. It has a low pH that destroys pathogens, and it contains a protein called defensin 1 that actively dismantles bacterial cell walls. A specialized type called Manuka honey is now used in certified wound dressings in hospitals worldwide. But here's the word that changes everything: raw. The moment you heat honey past 40 degrees Celsius, you destroy the enzymes and compounds that make it medicinal. The clear, bear-shaped bottle at the grocery store isn't the food the Bible was talking about. Traditional use, raw honey applied directly to wounds to prevent infection and accelerate healing. A spoonful at the first sign of a sore throat, mixed with warm water and lemon for immune support. This is the food desert travelers and prophets survived on for centuries. It doesn't expire. Archaeologists have found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still edible. If there's one food on this list to start with, it's this one. Number 2. Garlic. Here is one of the most emotionally charged food moments in all of Scripture. The Israelites are wandering the wilderness. They're exhausted, and they break down and weep. And one of the things they specifically mourn is garlic. Numbers 11:5. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, the onions, and the garlic. They missed garlic so much it made them cry. And when you understand what garlic actually does, that grief makes complete scientific sense. Allicin, the compound released when you crush or chop fresh garlic, is a broad-spectrum antimicrobial active against bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites. Clinical trials show regular garlic consumption reduces the frequency and severity of colds and flu. Multiple studies show it lowers blood pressure and LDL cholesterol. It reduces platelet aggregation. It has documented liver protective effects. Raw, freshly crushed garlic is the most potent form. Allicin is volatile. Heat degrades it. Traditional use across the ancient Middle East meant raw garlic in dressings and preserves, cooked into stews, infused in oil. Egyptian medical papyri list garlic in over 20 medicinal preparations. The people who mourned the garlic of Egypt weren't being dramatic. They knew exactly what they were losing. Number 3. Figs. Here's a detail most people miss entirely. When King Hezekiah was dying, not sick, dying from a severe infection, the prophet Isaiah didn't just pray over him. He ordered a poultice of figs pressed directly onto the wound, 2 Kings 20:7, and Hezekiah recovered. Modern science has spent years catching up to Isaiah's prescription. Figs contain physin, a proteolytic enzyme that breaks down dead tissue and actively promotes wound healing.
They also contain psoralen and benzaldehyde, compounds with documented antimicrobial properties. Fresh fig latex has been shown in studies to inhibit bacterial growth and support skin repair. But figs don't stop at wound care. They are extraordinarily rich in soluble fiber, specifically pectin, that feeds the beneficial bacteria in your gut. They contain magnesium, potassium, calcium, and B vitamins in concentrations that make them one of the most mineral-dense fruits you can eat. In a world without multivitamins, figs were the supplement. Traditional use: fresh figs at peak ripeness for gut health and energy. Dried figs all year round for sustained nutrition. And the ancient poultice practice, mashed fresh figs applied to inflamed skin, deserves far more modern investigation than it's received. Isaiah didn't guess, he knew. Real quick, because I get this question constantly, where do you actually find the real versions of these foods, not the watered-down supermarket imitations? That question matters more than most people realize. Most commercial honey is heated and stripped of its enzymes. It's basically sweet syrup. Most olive oil is cut with cheap seed oils and never cold-pressed. The difference between the biblical food and the modern imitation isn't small. It's the difference between food that heals and food that just looks similar. I've linked the sources I personally trust in the description below. Now let's finish the list. Number 4. Olive oil. The Bible references olive oil more than 140 times. Kings were anointed with it. Wounds were dressed with it. The Good Samaritan in Luke 10 poured oil and wine directly into a stranger's wounds. This wasn't symbolic. This was medicine, and the ancient world knew it. Extra virgin olive oil is one of the most rigorously studied foods on earth. The Mediterranean diet, built on olive oil as its cornerstone, has been linked in hundreds of clinical trials to reduced rates of heart disease, cancer, inflammation, cognitive decline, and all-cause mortality. The compound responsible is oleanthal, a polyphenol that works almost identically to ibuprofen at reducing inflammation, without the gastrointestinal damage that long-term ibuprofen use causes. But ancient olive oil wasn't the refined, heat-processed product most people buy today. Cold-pressed, unfiltered, freshly harvested olive oil is a living food, loaded with antioxidants, vitamin E, and healthy monounsaturated fats that the body recognizes and uses immediately. Traditional use: a tablespoon of quality extra virgin olive oil taken daily. Used generously in cooking, applied topically for skin conditions and wound healing. The people of the Bible didn't take supplements. They poured it over everything. There was wisdom in that. Number 5. Pomegranate. 200 carved pomegranates decorated the pillars of Solomon's temple. It appears throughout the poetry of Scripture as a symbol of abundance, beauty, and life. This wasn't decoration. It was a statement, and modern antioxidant science is fascinated by what that statement was built on. Pomegranates contain a compound called punicalagin, found almost nowhere else in nature, that breaks down in the gut into urolithins, compounds with remarkable anti-inflammatory and potential anti-cancer effects in research. Pomegranate juice has been shown in clinical trials to reduce blood pressure, lower LDL oxidation, improve arterial health, and reduce inflammatory markers like CRP. The polyphenol concentration outranks red wine, green tea, and blueberries, and the rind, which most people discard, is even more medically concentrated. Traditional healers across the Middle East used pomegranate rind tea for gut infections, intestinal parasites, and inflammatory conditions. Traditional use: eat the seeds fresh, drink the fresh pressed juice, steep the dried rind in hot water as a tea for gut health. The whole fruit, not just an extract, provides the full spectrum of compounds the way the body evolved to receive them. Solomon built his temple with the pomegranate on its pillars. Maybe he understood something about the architecture of healing that we are only now beginning to map. 5 foods, thousands of years of use, and modern science keeps arriving at the same conclusion the Bible already reached. The people who wrote these texts weren't primitive. They were observant. They paid attention to what healed them. They built their culture, their rituals, and their agriculture around those observations. And now, with clinical trials and biochemical analysis, we keep confirming what they already knew. The food was the point. The healing was the point. Drop a comment below and tell me which one surprised you most. If you haven't subscribed to Biblical Homestead Health yet, hit that button now and ring the bell. We post every week. See you in the next one.